Here comes everybody. Hey, all. What a good day for a party. Becky's here. Wow. Hey, Laurie. Hey, everybody. Oh, Karen, hi. So good to see you. Maydon and Julie and Gayleen and Shelly. Welcome. I'm going to just get started. We're going to stream this in our Facebook group. We're waiting for Mike. We've never had an open house, and I'm super excited to welcome you all to Tipping Point Recovery's very first virtual open house, where we're going to do a little bit of celebrating. I'm going to introduce you to somebody really special who's new on our team. We're going to hear from our interventionists, who we all love to hear from. We're going to help anybody that's new to Tipping Point learn what do we do here? How do we do it, and why? A lot of people also refer us a lot. And so you'll get some information today that will help you better connect people, because I know a lot of us, that's what we try to do. We try to connect people with what we're doing. So I'm so glad you're here. Let's just take a deep breath, everybody together, which I really love to do when we start out, right? Let's come together with a little bit of intention. Grounding yourself, putting your feet flat on the floor. Remember, this is the club you really never wanted to be part of, but it's the family you did not know you needed. And you're surrounded right now in family in a safe place. So throw out an intention for what you want to get from today. Everybody's welcome. We have to be in conversation about what we do at Tipping Point Recovery, you guys, because it's not obvious what we do. It's not clear. There's no thing out there that we can say we're like that, because we really are paving new roads. And as I said, many of you refer us to people, and sometimes you're not 100% clear about what we do, how we do it, how we're different. Are we a family support group? You hear me lately saying we're not a family support group. You might get support as a result of what we do, but that is not why we're doing what we're doing. We all spend so much time, a little less the choir that's here because it's preaching to the choir, but in the world, we spend so much time focused on what our addicted loved ones are not doing or doing. And we all say it's time to start spending time looking at what are we doing and not doing, because it's my observation that we have equal amounts of resistance. And we all know there's only one person we can change. So the very first thing I want to do after that, hey, Mike, I didn't see you because my notes were in front of my screen. I'm glad you're here. There's somebody I'm really excited to meet, to introduce you all to. So a friend introduced me to Shannon. And Shannon's going to introduce herself, and you're going to feel her vibe. But I just want to tell you a couple of things about her first. She is our new enrollment specialist. Shannon's like a bridge between Tipping Point Recovery headquarters and the rest of the world. As our enrollment specialist, she's the person you're going to want to reach out for if you have someone that you love, because often we're 3 or 4 ripples away, people trying to get people to get people to get here. Shannon's a sober sister. So please give a warm welcome to today's host. And we'll find a way to clap on Zoom.
The
Yeah,
finger
Shannon
snapping thing.
officially welcoming you. And
Thank you.
here are some incredible people.
Thank you. I was joking with a friend this week and I said it's going to be Facebook official on Monday. So this is a big step. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. My name is Shannon Whaley, and I'm super pumped to be here and just so grateful for the opportunity to join Kate and the rest of the team. So I just want to share a little bit about me and why I'm so passionate about this work. So I I got my degree in psychology and feminist studies, and so I was working as a domestic violence counselor for many years, and then got my credentials as a chemical dependency professional in Washington State and was a registered counselor there. I was working up at, if there's anyone in the Pacific Northwest, so I was at Ryther Child Center, Youth East Side Services. So um, programs for teens specifically. And so I was doing interventions and I was in inpatient treatment and the recovery house and all different sides of the professional part of drug and alcohol recovery services. Have my own uh, experience with drugs and alcohol, and started using when I was 12. And things just really escalated after cigarettes and, smoking and drinking and drugs and all of that. And so I was in and out of active use for many, many years. And I was married to an alcoholic at one point. So I've been in all of the different sides where I struggled. I was in relationships with people who struggled. And so October of 2013 decided that I was done. And so that's where I started my own recovery. So I've been doing this work since then. And in that time became a coach. And so I have 10 years as a sales and marketing coach. And so now at Tipping Point, I get to combine all of the things that I'm good at and all of my passions. And I'm excited to meet more of you. We may have already connected either through email, or you will be reaching out to me after this if you want to have a conversation. So I'm really excited to just be here and to support the team and then to support the community members as well. So you might see me chiming in the Facebook group to cheer people on and celebrate you. And so I'm just grateful for this opportunity. Okay, so let's introduce the interventionists. So we have Mike and Corey, and these are our intervention and family service team. So this is a large part. They are the large part of what separates us at Tipping Point from the rest of the programs that are out there, maybe the programs that you've experienced or have gone through. What we offer and the services that they offer is a professional level of service that is absolutely unlike what's out there in the world. And so, as we know, it's not just about getting your loved one into treatment. It's also about what happens after treatment and with the family's recovery. That is what is absolutely going to change your results. So I want to hand this over to them in just a minute. So Corey is the director of family services at Mayflower Treatment in Massachusetts. And Mike is the president of East Point Recovery Centers in New Hampshire. And hold on, let me get my note. My notes skipped up. So I would love to open this up. So I'll just call on one of you. So Corey, would love to hear about just a short introduction and what excites you about the work that you're doing here at Tipping Point Recovery.
Sure. Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm Corey. I am one of the interventionists on Kate's team. I'm also an individual in long-term recovery. And a reason that I got into this work is that until my family got well, I didn't really have a chance to, right? And what I mean by that is that my family got so wrapped up in the chaos of my active addiction is they didn't know what were the healthy ways to support me and what boundaries to have. And they were just getting roped into it, right? And that's why I say until they got well, I didn't really have a chance or the opportunity to get well, right? I think this work is very, very critical for the reasons I just explained. But it also helps create a healthier family dynamic, right? Because if a family is in a better position mentally, emotionally, and physically, it can create a lot of change, right? And a lot of you, by no fault of your own, right? You're just loving your loved one that you would any other person in your family. But for people like myself and your loved ones, you have to love us in a different way, right? And it's very effective, and it helps everybody. It's a total game changer, right? It's a catalyst for your loved one, turning that corner that they may have been stumbling to get to for a long, long time. So that's all I got.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And Mike,
Yes.
what excites you about the work that you're doing with us?
Well, it's the opportunity to always just start fresh with another family, right? I mean, we're as Corey was just pointing out, we have the opportunity to take families for an educational journey, right? Like Kate mentioned, it's not just a support group. I think we talk about it as being support and education. So, we have this wonderful opportunity to educate families from the beginning, wherever they are, meeting them where they're at. And, for some of them, it's I just found out. For others, it's I've been doing this for a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years. And, wherever that family's at, meeting them there and getting them where they need to be, right? Because they all need to be someplace different. They all need to be in a different state of mind, in a different place emotionally. Again, I think Corey was talking about how well we are, right? It's always the hardest thing to tell a family is, hey, you can't do much to fix or solve or change the situation because you've got another human being doing what they want to do, and they have free will and self-will and all this other stuff that's just leading the charge, and you're not. And then to convince them that taking care of themselves is the way to help their loved one, that's a tough journey. It's not something you can prescribe in one phone call or one meeting or through one document or, PowerPoint. It's a feeling, and the feeling is that for a lot of families, they have to try, and I don't want to say fail, but try and not succeed at fixing their loved ones, and they may have to do that 2, 3, 10, 40 times before they're like, okay, maybe I just need to take care of myself to make sure that I'm not drowning in their addiction. Maybe I just need to focus on myself so I can take care of my marriage, keep my job, keep health insurance for them, my children, whatever else is going on in their life. It's like, getting a family to a place where they can control what they can and let go of the rest. Um, that's a journey, right? I mean, just like with somebody in recovery, you can't just be like, "Hey, drugs are bad. You should stop." And like, "Oh my God, I had no idea. Thank you for telling me." We also can't come to a family and say, "Hey, what you're doing is bad." And they're like, "Oh wow, no, I'll just stop." They have to go through it. We have to go through it with them. And so I just really enjoy it's like a reset with every family, a little bit of exploration, like where are you? What have you done? Where are they? What have you tried? What worked? What didn't work? And then it's like, okay, now we have a starting point, and now we have to figure out where we want to get you, right? Like you as a family, where do you want to go? How much work are you willing to put into this? And can we change the family system? Can we change the environment? Can we change the responses? And I think that piece it's just exciting, you know. And it's even more exciting to watch families, hop into the group calls, the tipping point sets, and hearing them speak about the change that they were able to make and how hard it was. And even though it's working, it didn't fix everything for them, right? That's the most important piece. Everything doesn't just get better when you start listening to Kate. It's like it gets better in a different way. It gets a little easier to manage. You don't feel as involved, but you do feel better, even though your loved one's not. So that's what I love.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mhm.
So we have a couple questions for you that were submitted to us by the community members, and we'd just love to hear your take or how you would respond to this. So the first question that we got was, how do we balance compassion with boundaries when our 22-year-old son repeatedly breaks promises about cannabis use, triggers mental health crises, refuses to engage meaningfully in treatment, and yet wants to continue living at home? Given his pattern of relapse and our family's trauma, what approach should we take when we can't bear to see him homeless, but also can't continue this destructive cycle?
How do you make an omelet without breaking an egg? Is the question. And the answer is actually pretty complex, right? Because it doesn't matter what I think. It only matters what they feel, right? And so as much as that question, I would love to just give the answer because if I could, it would be written down. We could record it, we could sell it, we could put it on Oprah, and people would just do that stuff, right? But the reality is the only thing that matters is what the family feels. And right now, it sounds like they're torn between we really want this to stop and we can't stand to stand up to it. And if it's marijuana, then the choice is, I think this is where a lot of people, families land is like, is it bad enough because it was just pot. Like I think if the operative word in there was heroin, it would be a different question, right? If the phrase in there was they won't stop drinking and then they go up in the hospital, I think it would be a different question. But when it comes down to marijuana use, young adult, it's problematic, but he says he can handle it. Like it becomes a question, right? And so it really comes down to the family's threshold for discomfort. I think we all want to give a sense of like autonomy and free will to our children to like grow up and have their own experience. Like, hey, who am I to say you can't smoke a little weed, right? Um, but if it's disrupting the house, and if it's, causing problems in the child's life, then it really just does come down to how much are you willing to do to stop it? And, there is a compassionate way to do it. There's a variety of compassionate ways to provide an intervention. It's not a battle, it's not a confrontation, it's a loving, compassionate way, just like the beginning of that question, to come in and disrupt it, change the situation, and more importantly, to require action. Like the scenario that you just presented doesn't sound like they're requiring action. It just sounds like they prefer that it wasn't the way it was, or wasn't the way it is. And so that'll be my first take, is that family probably could use a good sit down and figure out where they're at and try to decide for themselves how they feel about it, how strongly they feel about it, and how prepared they are to stand up to it, like someone said in the chat.
Yeah, like what's your goal here in this
Sure.
situation? Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I just prefer were different. I don't know if I'm going to take any action to do anything about it, but I would prefer that certain things were different. And in a situation like this, you can't just sit by and be like, oh, I wish things were different. I want him to want more for himself. If you're involved in it that level, you're neck deep, you're driving, letting them live, giving them money. I mean, if you're involved in it and you want things to be different, you may actually have to take some action as well.
So good. Thank you.
Mhm.
So the next question is, I'm pretty sure I'm going to need to do an intervention, but feel scared to commit. What can I do to prepare myself for this level of service?
Or you want that one?
Yeah. So to prepare for that, right, I think one of them is kind of goes back to what Mike was saying about the threshold that you create, right? Once it's crossed over that threshold and you have no doubt in your mind that this is something that has to be done, then you have to fully commit to it. And one thing that I always offer up to families who are, interventions are scary, right? And when they're intimidated by it, it's like, okay, well, we have to go into this all the way because your loved one's life depends on it. Right. And if we continue to take a step back and, kind of teeter that line a little bit, it's just going to be creating more confusion in them, right? Because you have to look at your loved one, right, who struggles with substance use disorder. They're sick, scared, and confused, right? And kind of being halfway in is just going to exacerbate that. But one thing to help a family get to a place themselves, it's a lot of self-care, right? Doing a lot of work at themselves, like a lot of, introspective thinking and things like that, because like I always say, and I said it earlier, you have to be mentally, emotionally, and physically to be able to step up to the plate to help your loved one when they need it, right? And that's a big part of this. But yeah, I absolutely believe that, taking some time before jumping in and not making that emotional decision to create change is imperative, right? Because we don't want to teeter that line. We're either going to do what it takes to get them to a place that we need them to be, as well as ourselves, right? Because an intervention is about the family first before we sit down with the loved one. But really, really important to, make a decision when we're then get off that line.
Amazing. Yeah. And, having an opportunity to talk to you and see both of you and hear more about what this entails is, I imagine, helpful, like to demystify this process. Because we see so much stuff like online and in movies and stuff that make this seem, I mean, scarier than it needs to be, maybe. Even though it's a scary, right? But like we all have like conceived ideas of what this might look like from movies and media and all that. So thank you.
And it becomes less scary as you start to go through the process and the preparation.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so one of the things too that I was talking to Kate about is, if this is something that people are interested in, but they want to get some support to prepare themselves, because this is I think you would agree that this is a very taxing and like emotionally a big event. And so getting support from Kate ahead of time, whether that's like having one-on-one sessions and being able to get that support to prepare themselves for this event, that's something also that we've kind of been talking about, that is available to people. And we'll get into more of the different services that we have and who they're good for.
I do want to just say one thing.
Yeah.
I think the quote that I like to use, and it's silly, but like, how do you eat an elephant, right? It's one bite at a time. I think whenever anybody thinks about the word intervention, they think about the whole thing, and automatically it's usually the first questions that I hear are where are we going to do it? How are we going to get them there? What if they say no? How are we going to deal with them? What they're gonna get mad, they're gonna fight, they're gonna do this, they're gonna do that. And because the family historically has always been going to the worst possible scenario, because that is usually what happens, right? Like they're in, fight or flight from all of their other responses with their loved one, that it's just like it's going to be the worst, right? Like there's no way that you're going to be able to get him or her to sit in a room and like be reasonable and listen, and they're going to run away, they're going to throw something. And so they're used to the way their loved one responds, and they don't understand how a process like this or people like us could make it any different, right? All of my efforts have just been met with pain and resistance and arguments. So why is this going to be any different? So they're just picturing this terrible situation that they faced 100 times before. There's just going to be somebody else there. And so like Corey's saying, breaking down and demystifying what it actually is that there are stages, there are steps, there are small bites to this elephant. And if we don't take them one bite at a time, we'll never finish it. It may be 100 bites, it may be 1,000 bites, but it's definitely, there's no reason to think about the tail when we're on the first hoof. Like just it all sucks. Eating an elephant is a lot of work, right? There's nothing cool about it. But if we take it one bite at a time, and if we talk about it strategically, and if we do it in a level-headed way, and it's professionally guided, we do it. We do it all the time with people. And so I think just getting that first meeting and being like, oh, not only is there a process, but certain things are supposed to happen at a certain time in order to get that result. Okay, that makes sense. It's easier to grab onto.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, one more question before we move into the next part. So, this may sound weak, but sometimes I'm afraid to take next steps because I'm so darn exhausted from all I've done over the past 7 years. So, this is someone who's considering joining boot camp, and this was his reply as we were talking to him. What would either of you say to him? I feel like this is a pretty common, like, I've done all the things. I've like, how much more? I'm tired.
I think of any home repair project that I've tried to take on myself, and it's like getting to the point where I'm like, I would literally pay someone twice what the job is worth to have someone else just do it. And then the only thing I'm met with is just more home repair guys that are like, I can tell you how to do it, like, but I've done it. Like I've done it 10 different times, 10 different ways. I don't want another YouTube video about how to do it. I just want someone else to do it. And there are a lot of scenarios in the world where you can do that, right? Like you can absolutely hire someone else to do it. But when it comes to a child or a family member or a loved one, I don't, whether you're tired or not, you're still involved, And it's like, I think the old the story I hear is like, you can choose the pain you want, right? Like it's gonna be like getting in shape requires pain. Sitting and not being in shape is pain. Just pick one. They both come with pain, right? Like you don't have a choice. And I would say the same with this, right? Like you get to pick your pain. I mean, you can either put it down and say I'm done, which we all know is not a real thing. And they're going to continue to do what they're doing, and you're going to continue to respond the way that you have, and it's going to be pain. Or you can step in and you can take some guided steps toward fixing yourself and the situation, and that's going to be pain. But at least on the other side of it, there's hope, where there is none on the other side, or as you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. If you don't do anything, it won't change. That's my take on that.
That's a great response. Corey, what would you offer?
No, I think Mike nailed it, right? It's like when you're doing it alone and you're doing it yourself, you're taking all that responsibility and burden and putting it on your shoulders, and it can wear you out. Whereas in this process, you can lean on somebody else that, is a little bit less emotionally compromised too, and that can help guide you through it and give you the appropriate steps, right? When you're at a crossroads, right? You come to us, we can tell you which way to go, right? And we can set expectations for either way versus, trying to do it all yourself and then, something goes wrong and you feel that, right? It makes you second guess yourself going forward. So just having somebody else that has done it, right? This is our thing, right? We're the handyman in this case, like Mike said, right? Guide you through it, can make the process, a different type of pain, but, also potentially less pain, and help get you through it and help you strategize. So I think it's always helpful to lean on people who, this is their thing.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and this is one of the things that I loved about Tipping Point and what they offer, which is the like professional services, like the professional level, not just peer led. And like, this is a huge piece that sets Tipping Point Recovery apart from all of the other, programs and opportunities out there. So, okay, so I want to dive into, thank you both for sharing. Appreciate your answers. So I would love to just take a moment to highlight Kate because today, coincidentally enough, is her 12-year sobriety milestone. So I would love to have you celebrate her and share in the comments what she's brought to your life, how she's inspired you, and that way she can read them. And Kate, I would also love to just say congratulations and just thank you for the work that you're doing as a part of this.
Thanks so
Yeah.
much, Shannon. It's really cool to not be the one announcing your anniversary. I just want to celebrate that for a minute. And I also want to circle back to Mike and Corey, who so beautifully hold families here. And there's never any shaming. There's so much similarity between the addicted person and all the resistance and the avoidance and the fear and the excuses that they have. We're the same. Families are the same. And Mike and Corey, to have you guys in this room and just know how happy I am every time I send someone to consult with you. Like my heart is huge. Yeah, it's there's always yesterday and then there's today. Whenever I have an anniversary, my last day drinking was a really gross, messy, scary, dangerous day. And so, yeah, it's I'm so grateful to be in this community. I'm just as much a person. Do you guys remember the commercial a long, long time ago? The guy, the hair club guy, he was like, I'm a client too. Hair club for men. That's what I feel like when I say I'm as much a student of this work. And I said to Laura all the time, I'm using this book's framework to write this book, like 100% a student at the table. And I think that's why people feel that genuine, because it's 100% real. I'm a family member as well. But yeah, I'm super happy to, I'll receive the comments of how this community has impacted you today. And I wouldn't have been able to receive it probably 10 years ago on my second anniversary, not even close. So I will receive these today. And thank you for that. Yeah, it's exciting. Nowhere I'd rather be.
So good. So I put in the chat box. So I'm not only the president, but I'm also a member from the Hair Club for Men. So, okay. So we're going to move into the next part and we're going to share with you the programs that we have available to you, who they're for. And as I am talking about these, if you have gone through any of them, I would love for you to share what what your biggest breakthrough was or takeaway was, or how the program that you were in has impacted you. And maybe you're currently in boot camp or you're going through the Stop the Chaos video training that we have. But would love for you to pop these into the chat box just so that other people can get an idea of what's happening behind the scenes. And this is really why we wanted to do the open house too, was to really pull back the curtain and give you an idea of the programs and what's happening and what to expect. And I know Kate is going to open up and share the portal so you can see the behind the scenes. So the first program that we're going to talk about is the Stop the Chaos video training. So this is a series of videos for you to go through and workbooks. And it's an opportunity for you if you want to kind of like test drive what we do and see what happens and our style, this is a great opportunity for you to pop in there and get some support. So if you're just beginning to recognize maybe that there's a problem with your loved one's drinking or substance use, maybe you're feeling overwhelmed and you don't know where to start, you are researching addiction and feeling kind of lost. There's so much information out there, right? And you are wondering where to start, this could be a great place for you to start. So Kate is showing you the different trainings and the modules. You have immediate access to the bonus content, and you can ask questions in our Facebook group and get support around what you're learning, and yeah, start to go through this at your pace. Kate, anything else you want to add here?
Yeah, I do actually. Most people that purchase this training don't watch more than a couple of sessions. I just want to say that because I just want to encourage people to create a schedule for yourself. You know, it reminds me of when I was in an online college course and I didn't go into the bulletin board for a couple of weeks and the semester started moving along. I mean, you really have to be self directed to, there's just so much in here though. It's so deep and we're adding to it all the time. So, and it's directly linked to the three components that are in the book. Yeah, that's all.
Great. Excellent. So the next offer that we have is the Stop the Chaos Bootcamp. So this is for you if you've tried to set boundaries but struggle to maintain them. You feel like you're walking on eggshells around your loved one. You're ready to have a higher level of support. So there are 3 calls that you can get on during the week. Kate here is showing you the call times and the days. So you have support from Kate and Mike and Corey. There's a peer-led group. There's so much support here so that you can stop the chaos, so that you can start your own recovery and really feel deeply supported in this entire process as you start to change your life, your loved one starts to change their life. And so if you're tired of the same arguments and patterns repeating, this is definitely where you want to be.
I will add, the main reason we started boot camp is because people were buying the trainings and not watching them. And at Tipping Point Recovery, we not only meet you at the table, we're climbing up on the table trying to get you to get into your seat across the table. And we started boot camp because we knew that if you had the accountability of weekly and 3 times a week calls, you'd likely watch that training. We also do it so we can introduce you to Corey and Mike. So Corey and Mike can actually meet you face to face and hear your situation. Because as Mike was describing, so much of this, we can't put this on a YouTube and help millions because it's too nuanced. It's too specific to your situation. So boot camp gives you that expert level of support for really a fraction. You wouldn't be able to get it otherwise. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Great. So the next level, so this is more of an advanced program, typically for people who have graduated from boot camp and then are moving into the next level of support. So when you're ready to roll up your sleeves and you've built your confidence, you understand the framework and you are implementing what you've learned in boot camp, then the next level of support is recovery mastery. You are committed to long-term change. You are ready to change your family system. You recognize that quick fixes haven't worked, that they don't work. And you understand that the only person that you can change is yourself. And so you are committing to your healing, your own healing, regardless of what your loved one is doing. Then recovery mastery is the next level of support and care that we offer for you.
So many recordings in here of the brilliant facilitators. So many, and a deep library. The other thing that comes with Recovery Mastery, the advanced program, is the 12-week curriculum that's kind of standing on its own. It's not being led live, but people in Recovery Mastery go through this 12-week curriculum, which is really deep. 1 hour calls, several experts are facilitating these. This is really the core curriculum that Stop the Chaos introduces. This is the deep core curriculum. And in Recovery Mastery, this is when you're learning how to let go. This is when you're learning how your attachment style impacts you. You're learning your own trauma, and you're learning a deeper, it's kind of like Stop the Chaos. I was thinking the other day is like detox. I'm going to use the analogy of the addicted person. Boot camp is like 30-day rehab, and Recovery Mastery is like the 9-month sober living that we all wish our loved ones would do. Is that good? That's good.
Perfect explanation. I feel like that's like an explanation that people can understand. Yeah. Awesome.
If you want your loved one to go to sober living, go to sober living.
Right. Right. Okay, so this is more for the private coaching and the private services. So some of you may or may not know, but Kate offers one-on-one coaching. So if you want private, personalized attention, if your situation has different unique complexities that require individual guidance, we were also talking too that if you want to move into an intervention and you want some support before you get to that point to handle your own triggers and activations, to really wrap your head around what's about to happen, then this is a great opportunity for you to work with Kate one-on-one. And it's a great addition to the other programs, to boot camp. So you can just go deeper. Once you've gotten into boot camp, I feel like a lot of people realize like, oh shit, I'm going to need a little bit more support here. And so you can take what you've learned in boot camp and then bring that to Kate one-on-one. Anything else to add, Kate?
Nope, I think that's really
Nailed
self-explanatory.
it. Great. And then we have the highest level of care that we offer here. And this is what Mike and Corey were talking about, which are our interventions. This is for you if your loved one situation, if you're at a crisis point, if you know that this is it, like we really need to rip the Band-Aid off here and go straight for some powerful results. You're sick and tired of being sick and tired. Your family is united and wants to create an immediate change. And you're ready to take a decisive action rather than just continuing to wait and hope for the best. This is where you want to be. Anything else, Kate?
Well, I want to jump in. Earlier, we were talking about, Mike said something about, you wish we could do this for you. In some ways, I mean, there's plenty to do in these private services, but it is I always think of it as coming in your front door instead, like the back door is the training and the boot camp. It's you starting to change. We can come in your front door and within a couple of weeks, everything can be different. And it's sometimes what people need, oftentimes what people need. Although there are the times that you can start to create change and your loved one will react and change as a result. We have no way of knowing if that'll happen. And I can tell you, no one ever says, I wish I didn't do that, ever. It's the last stop. I just wish it wasn't the last stop for people. And I think there's just so much fear at the beginning of it I think people just don't believe the results, which is why it's so beautiful that the families that are here, many who are here right now, have done these services and they are believers, so much so that they don't leave because this is their family now. So that's what I want. I have so much I want to say. I really want this word intervention to be a different word. I think people have a connotation of what it means. I'm not going to stop in my lifetime trying to explain this to people in a way that equals what it really is, which is not what you see on TV. There's no more beautiful process than I've ever witnessed than that. So thank you, Shannon.
Amazing. Yeah. Thank you. So we have so we're going to move into questions and that specifically, well, I guess Corey or Mike, I see that Mike's still here. So if both of you want to answer this. So one of the questions that we have is my boundary of limiting his purchase of beer to $30 a week enabling or a good first step? We share a bank account and he works full time.
No, not a good idea. But something's better than nothing, right? And, in the same way that if an addict and alcoholic came to me and said, I want to cut my heroin use down to Tuesdays and Thursdays, or just over the weekend, I would say that's not a good idea. But there's some motivation to do something different, right? And as a result of trying that and probably not getting the results that they want, um, that might motivate them to try something better. Same thing here. No, I don't think it's a good idea, because if you are actively participating in the micromanagement of the use, like trying to limit it through funds, as long as it's still happening, they're still sick. They're not getting better. And so unless there's a drive to try something more significant, then this is probably just one of those learning experiences that both the parent and the child need to go through. Um, that's my opinion. I mean, I don't. It also comes down to quality of life too, right? Like, I can hear a family say, my loved one does this, this, and this, and I don't like it. Well, I don't either. But that doesn't mean they have to stop altogether. And I don't know where quality of life fits for them. Maybe it is managed use. I've yet to see that person that's like, I whittled it down to something manageable and things are good now, but I hear they exist, in the same way that I know people win the lottery, but I never have, and I don't know anyone that has, but I hear it happens. And, I feel the same about that. Like, some people can, I just don't ever meet them. Their families never interact with me. And odds are, if you're on a call like this asking that question, you're not that person.
Thank you. Corey, thoughts?
Yeah. So, I agree with Mike. But one thing that I would ask that family is, like, let's look at what our goal here is. Because if our goal is for everything to just remain the same while you try to, kind of manage their money, manage what they do, and you're satisfied with that, then who am I to tell you any different, right? But I would just leave you with the understanding of, like, this is how it's going to be forever and will probably eventually get worse. And I think, the thing with managing other people's money, it becomes, right, like Mike said, a micromanaging type of thing. And that brings on contention in the family dynamic. And just naturally, for people who are sick like myself, we're going to start pushing for more and more and more. And then it doesn't go anywhere good. But, at the front end of, like, are we okay with this? Right? I'm not, but if you guys are okay with it, then I guess it is what it is. But it's like, this is just where it ends and how it's always going to be. So if we want something more for the family and for the individual struggling, then we have to kind of examine, is this actually working? Because in the long run, it likely won't.
Yeah, I mean, and from what we all know is it's probably not going to get better on its own. Like, it's probably not going to, right? Like, so this is just going to get worse, like what you're saying of like, oh, $30 and like, $40 and all of a sudden it's $50. And so at what point is this too much
Exactly.
or not acceptable, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Mike said, the quality of life thing is pretty big here, because this is
Mhm.
how it's just going to be.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. So we put it in Kate put into the chat box. So if you have any questions, you can drop your questions in the chat box. We have just a couple minutes left. So thank
I
you.
will add to that,
Yeah.
if you don't mind. I mean, like, I always use the diet analogy. That, in my opinion, a diet is like a break from something. That's why they don't typically work, because it's temporary, right? You're not changing really much other than usually a drastic change in your eating habits that's not sustainable, you know? And if you look at what it takes for people to get well, drastic changes, like changing everything all at once, is not sustainable. You know what I mean? Like, stop doing drugs and go get a job. Stop drinking and be normal. Like, it's not a thing. Your brain needs time to heal, your body needs time to heal. And, sometimes it's really hard as a parent or a family member not to look at your loved one and say, they should be fine minus the drugs and alcohol. Right. And so as a result, most people are coming in and they're responding to this as though, if we could just get the drugs and alcohol away from them, then they would be fine. And that's not real. right? Because how many times have they stopped in the past? How many other diets have they taken where they were sober for a week or a month or 6 months or whatever it is, and things didn't just get better? So why do we keep thinking that the next time they stop, even if it's on their own, that things are just going to get better? And I think, we have to come to our own terms with that. Us, the people in recovery, we have to figure out why that is. And families need to understand why that is, right? Because it's so easy to buy into that plan. At some point, it just feels like I just want the foot off my throat. And the foot off my throat is them not shooting heroin. The foot off my throat is them not drinking and driving. And so they'll accept that. And it almost has you compromising what you know is right, which is that they need much more than just not using. Right? They need time to heal. They need education. They need tools because they don't have them. And so, when I hear questions like that, because I do, I hear those questions from families all the time, like, is this good enough? Should I be okay with this? And I'm like, who am I to say? I mean, if your intention is not even your intention, if your hope is that they're going to get well, then that approach is probably the least successful. Right? Like if we were just to measure them up against each other and put everything from, stopping on their own, using a couple days a week, going to AA meetings, going to see a therapist once a week. Like if we measured all the different paths that people take, there's green in all of them. Somebody has gotten sober using every path that's available. Okay. But the bar graph is very tiny in a lot of those, right? And some of those just got well by accident. Like they were done and they were like, shit, I just need something. And they go to yoga and they're like, dude, yoga is life. And they never drink again. You know what I mean? Yoga doesn't address addiction and recovery, but like some people got well doing that, So there's green across the board, which breeds hope. Somebody else could do it that my loved one could do it. But you have to take into consideration the entire history of the situation, you know? And so I always go to best chance for success. But show me the end of that graph, right? What do people who have a really serious issue do to get to the other side of that? And way over here on the far side of that graph, the thing with like the really tall green metric, that one is usually months and months and months of hard work and commitment. That's the one, right? And even the couple right next to it, they might all be in different types of programs, 12-step, non-12-step, therapeutic, inpatient, outpatient, doesn't matter. The top 10 all come with long-term heavy investment. Every single one of them.
Love it. I want to respond to Kayla's question because it's actually very prevalent in our community right now in the Facebook group, when I'm live on TikTok, when I'm meeting with people individually. And she said, what direction do you take when your loved one calls and you can tell they've had a drink or two, but yet they are trying to act like they're in a sober state of mind? And I have been working on, and it's almost complete, I have about 36 disarming statements based on what you all have been telling me you need. And we're creating this PDF for Bootcamp and Mastery families. And so my response to Kayla is, this is a you problem, not his, because he has an illness that is supposed to be doing what he's doing. So the first thing you want to tell yourself is he's doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing. Same as if my mother, who has early stage dementia, is starting to forget things. I don't question it. We question it, Kayla, because we still are attached to he's being an asshole. And it's not that. It's that. So the direction you take is you ask yourself, how much more of this am I okay with? And here's a disarming statement that I just grabbed from that PDF. And it's, I notice there's a difference between what I'm observing and what you're telling me. That gap makes it difficult for me to know how to respond authentically. This is entirely about you. When you make it about them, which I'm telling you, the entire world is doing. So you're so not alone. I want to validate you in making it about them because it's super frustrating, but that's keeping you stuck. And the second thing I want to say to Kayla, she's saying, this is amazing. This is a sampling of what we do on a regular basis. This is why we push so hard to get you guys to come in, because isn't this freaking amazing? Where else are you going to get this level support? I'm so proud. I'm so proud. So that's the answer, is we have to ask ourselves as family members, how much more of this is okay with me? And that's why you get to decide. That's why this is custom. I hope you care about yourself more every day so that you start tolerating less and less, because guess what? It's not only what you need, it's what they need too. There you go. So Shannon, Laura has a link for boot camp. Yeah. Unless you
Perfect.
go
Thank
somewhere
you.
else. Yeah. Mhm.
No, my computer was lagging, so it'd be great to have that. Yeah, so I also put my email address in the chat box if you just want to reach out to me directly, and then that way we can have a conversation about, and you might think maybe this, or like I'm on the fence for this, and let's just talk about it, and we can help you figure out based on what your needs are, and you know, what you're ready for. Because right? Like this is a commitment for your recovery, for your family, and we're here to support you every step of the way. So, thank you for being here.
Mm.
Thank you for taking time out of your busy day. I know we all have lots of things to do. And so we just really appreciate you spending the last hour with us, and appreciate your questions. Reach out to me, and I'm happy to have a conversation with you and make sure. I think everyone here is probably part of the Facebook group, and if you're not, make sure that you are in there, because there's lots of support. And that group is also where you'll just see the progression of people who are going through boot camp, and that's where they're asking their questions, and so you can already start to kind of see like the questions and how the questions are changing, and the thought process is changing. You'll see Kate respond, you'll see other team members respond, and it's just a wealth of information in there. So just want to say thank you to the team as well. Thank you for being here. And Kate, anything else before we wrap up?
Shannon, you're a dream. I'm so happy you're here. And Mike and Corey, you're so stinking smart and compassionate. And families, to all of you, the choir, many of you are just the choir. So thank you for all the work you do. And Laura in the Facebook group, another Laura said, this is like a movement. It absolutely is. And there's so much strength behind it. So much strength behind it. So go keep staying in your lane, but leave your lane when you need to. I know it's super confusing. We want you to take a breakdown lane every now and then, or move over to the slow lane, take an exit. But ultimately, it's a beautiful thing to be sober, emotionally sober from the effects of addiction on the family side, and sober from the poison that wanted to kill me. So thanks, everybody. Have an awesome rest of your day. Yeah, keep spreading the word. And yes, this is recorded. We'll drop the link for you all, and have an awesome, blessed day. And thanks again.